The night air in Whitechapel is thick with fog and fear. You walk down a narrow, gaslit alley, the lamps sputtering as if they too dread what comes next. Every footstep echoes off the damp bricks. A sudden moan cuts through the silence, soft, pitiful, and close. You follow the sound to find her, a young woman lying on the cobbles, her dress torn, her breath shallow. She reaches out, eyes wide with terror, and whispers, "Help me," before her voice fades. Your heart pounds as you kneel beside her. You notice the crimson stain spreading across her skirt, the cruel cut of a knife. You grip her hand, but she's gone, her life slipping away in the cold night. A soft scraping noise stops you from standing. You spin, a shadow moves at the edge of the lamp's glow. Tall, cloaked, you strain your eyes, but the figure melts into the mist. In the hush, a low whisper drifts through the alley. "I am Jack, and this is only the beginning." Your lantern flickers and goes out. In the pitch black you realize you're not alone, and whatever hunted her is still here, still watching, still waiting for its next victim. Could you face the horror waiting in these dark alleyways? Hit subscribe and ring the bell, then tell us where you're watching from. Tonight, we dive into Jack the Ripper's world. A killer who stalked London's foggy streets, striking without warning. We'll follow the clues, hear witness accounts, and uncover the chilling secret behind the Whitechapel murders. Pay close attention, every detail could save a life, or lead you deeper into terror. Are you ready? Stay with us if you dare. London, summer 1888. In the East End's Whitechapel district, narrow streets twist between rows of tiny brick houses and workmen's lodgings. Smoke from coal fires drifts over broken sidewalks, rubbish piles in alleys. Gas lamps sputter, leaving many corners in gloom. Thousands of poor families squeeze into crammed flats, sharing single water taps and outside toilets. By nightfall the air grows thick with fog and fear. Unemployment and hunger drive men into dingy pubs. Women, many forced to turn to begging or worse, wander the streets alone. The police know each dark alley, they even patrol on foot, but they cannot stop every crime. Whispers spread of attacks on lone women after midnight, but no one sees the killer's face. The first strike, August 31, 1888, 3:40 a.m. A misty dawn seeps into the backyard of Buck's Row. A constable making his rounds spots a woman lying in the gutter. He kneels. Her dress is torn, her throat deeply cut. He gently turns her over. It is Mary Ann Polly Nichols, 34, mother of 5. She worked laundry by day, sought shelter and coins by night. Word spreads through Whitechapel by sunrise. Crowds gather at the crime scene, faces pale and trembling. A doctor examines Mary's body, calling it an act of the utmost brutality. He notes the slashes across her throat, then horrifyingly abdominal wounds inflicted after death. Newspapers call it a fiendish murder. For days, neighbors whisper, "A monster walks our streets." Families lock doors, women travel in pairs, but the fog returns, hiding the killer's steps. The second blow, September 8, 1888, in a backyard at Hanbury Street. A second body lies on the cold cobbles. She is Annie Chapman, 47, formerly a cleaner and mother of 3. Her throat is cut deeply, her abdomen mutilated more violently than Polly's. The same doctor, his hands shaking, declares a link. Only a depraved mind could repeat such horrors. Police scatter flyers and offer rewards. Journalists swarm Whitechapel, painting lurid pictures of the Whitechapel horror, but the killer remains hidden. Every night, Young women scurry home before dark. Yet the alley shadows grow longer, the gas lamps dimmer, a curse on Whitechapel. Many believe the district is cursed. Some say old sins, slum landlords, child labor, unchecked vice, have summoned this evil. Others speak of a vengeful spirit rising from the Thames, punishing the innocent and guilty alike. Local clergy pray for the dead. At St. Mary Matfelon Church, candles burn into the night. Father O'Brien warns his flock, lock your doors, pray for mercy. But faith alone does not stop the terror. A pattern emerges. Detectives and beat constables study the two murders. Both women were last seen alive near Whitechapel Road, walking alone after midnight. Their deaths share the same cruel signature: throat cut from left to right, deep abdominal wounds, no footprints, no weapon left behind. The press names the killer Jack the Ripper after a letter signed Jack the Ripper arrives at a news office. Though the police doubt its authenticity, the name sticks, fueling fear. The victims remember Annie Chapman had survived hardship, poverty, eviction, the death of her children. She died at a time when hope seemed near. Both women's faces appear in newspapers, pale, sorrowful, haunting reminders that no one is safe. Whitechapel in panic. Between these murders, women share stories in huddled doorways. I heard footsteps behind me last night. A coat flapped in the alley like a shadow. My lantern's light seemed to dull as I hurried home. Shopkeepers install iron shutters. Families buy extra locks. But the killer strikes at will, slipping through the fog and the wires of gaslight, always gone before help arrives. The call for justice. Sir Charles Warren, Commissioner of the Metropolitan Police, orders more patrols. He sends detectives from Scotland Yard. They question dozens of suspects, vagrants, doctors carrying knives, anyone with odd habits. But every lead turns cold. Sir Charles pleads for calm, yet parishioners whisper, even the police cannot catch the devil. Rumors swirl. The killer may work in a hospital. No anatomy. Some point fingers at local doctors, but no proof emerges. Nightmares of Whitechapel. Parents warn children, don't stray after dark. Prostitutes hire guards. The poor sleep in groups, lanterns between them. Yet even in tight crowds, the killer finds his victim. Each night, the alley becomes a trap. Each morning, grief and horror follow. A community bound by fear. Despite terror, Whitechapel unites. Shopkeepers donate rewards. Churches host vigils. Volunteers patrol the street. People speak Mary and Annie's names together, promising they will not be forgotten. Community leaders print leaflets. If you see a cloaked figure, notice the gait, the gloves, the glint of a blade. They urge women to carry whistles, to walk in groups. Small acts of solidarity give hope, yet the killer's next strike seems inevitable. Looking ahead, with two murders done, the stage is set for the Ripper's next acts. As autumn deepens, London waits in tense silence. The fog thickens, the gaslight dimmer, and from the shadowy alleys, a silent figure watches, preparing to strike again. Whitechapel by night is a place of shadows and fear. Once you step off the main roads, gas lamps flicker, leaving long stretches of blackness. Doors are bolted from inside, windows are shuttered. Every clatter of a loose board or cry in the distance reminds you something is very wrong. The back alley maze. Start on Hunbury Street, where Annie Chapman fell. The cobbles are uneven. Puddles collect in hollow spots. A thick mist swirls low around your ankles. A stray cat darts across your path and vanishes into an entryway. You pause, heart racing, listening. Your own footsteps echo so loudly you almost expect someone to answer. Turn down a narrow lane, model market court, and the air grows colder. The market stalls stand empty and silent. You see a lone rag on a hook, stained dark. A few yards in, you smell rotten food. Rats scurry from the gutters. A dribble of water runs along the curb, glowing in the lamplight. At the dead end, a pile of straw hides a shallow cellar. If you peer inside, you see broken crates and a pool of something dark, no doubt old blood. This was once a storage shed. Now it is a stain on the neighborhood's memory. Signs of violence. Police tape still marks spots where victims fell. At Thrall Street, officers found Marianne Nichols's body. Today, a shabby wooden sign warns, "Private property." But locals know the truth. You crouch beside a jutting brick wall. There's a dark smear on the mortar. Too high for a child. Too low for a tall man. It looks like a handprint. You touch it with a trembling finger. Cold. Sticky. You pull back and nearly lose balance when you hear a soft groan from above. A door swings on rusty hinges. You shine your lantern up the stairs. They lead to a lodging house once full of families, now half empty. A single lantern burns in a window. Behind it, you think you see a figure staring back. Then the light goes out. The tenements and courts. Whitechapel's tenements press so close you can almost touch both walls with outstretched arms. Laundry lines crisscross overhead. The smell of coal smoke mixes with sewage. A child's cry echoes from a window 3 stories up. Doors here never close quietly. Terrace Court is one such place. You step inside under a crooked sign. Teetering staircases climb to upper floors. Rat droppings crunch under your boots. You hear creaks as if something big moved above. At the top, a battered door hangs open. Inside is a small room with a broken bed frame and a rusted knife blade on the floor. The blade has no handle, like it was torn from something else. You pocket the blade in a paper bag. If this belonged to the killer, it's a key piece of evidence. But your skin prickles as you back away. You sense someone watching from the hallway. You shine your lantern out the door. No one. Creeping dread in public houses. Even the pubs after dark feel unsafe. In Dixon's Arms, locals huddle over cheap ale. Eyes darting to the door. You slip inside. The barkeep nods, his face drawn tight. "You're a brave soul," he says quietly. "Few come out this late." You order a pint and sit near the corner. Tin mugs clang. A fiddler plays a slow tune. A woman in a dark shawl stares at you from across the room. Her face is pale, eyes wide. She looks away when you catch her gaze. Footsteps on the wooden floor stop near your table. The woman rustles by and drops a scrap of paper in your mug. She slips away before you can thank her. You read the note by lamplight. "Beware the devil in a dark cloak. He walks behind every lost soul." Chills run down your spine. You drain your pint and step back into the fog. Creeping through courtyards. Behind pubs and tenements are hidden courtyards. Triangular spaces hemmed in by brick walls. In Ryder's Court, you find a small garden where rose bushes once grew. Now the bushes stand bare, thorns exposed. A single white rose lies on the path, its petals still fresh. You remember the butcher's block with a rose left on it. Your heart pounds. You reach down to pick it up. The petals are soft, but the stem hands you tiny drops of blood. You drop it, horrified as a soft scraping comes from the wall behind you. You turn, claw marks score the bricks as if made by a large animal, or a desperate person climbing out. The horror of outcast houses. Some buildings belong to charities or mission houses. Shaftesbury dwelling stands empty at night. You slip through its iron gates and find rows of small rooms, each door locked behind thick bars. You hear voices, a woman sobbing quietly behind one door, a child humming a nursery rhyme. No one answers your knock. At the end of the hall, a window looks into a workshop. Inside, dozens of aprons hang on nails. On the floor, rust stains. You imagine a killer passed through here, cleaning tools, discarding bloody clothes. You step back, the lantern shaking, determined to get out. Escalating threats. In the days that follow, Jack the Ripper's terror grows. You talk to ambulance drivers who found Elizabeth Stride and Catherine Eddowes early one autumn morning. Elizabeth died in Burner Street, throat cut, but no other wound. Catherine's body appeared just hours later in Mitre Square, her body mutilated like the earlier victims. When you visit these sites, you see increased police presence, yet the fog eats up the lamps. You hear stories of a man in a cloak, his collar pulled high, hiding his face. A few say they saw a top hat peek past a corner. None could give a clear description. Signs of supernatural fear. Though Jack the Ripper was a human killer, fear turned him into something more. Rumors spread of ghostly cries, of shadowy figures moving without footsteps, of women seeing a face of death reflected in dark windows. In Christ Church Spitalfields graveyard, visitors feel chills near Mary Jane Kelly's unmarked grave. They say her spirit lingers, whispering warnings. You stand by the crumbling tombstones at midnight, lantern held high. Your breath steams in the cold air. A figure brushes by your elbow. You whip around empty space. The killer's haunting pattern. Jack the Ripper killed 5 women between August and November 1888. Bucks Row, Annie Chapman, Hanbury Street. Each time the killer vanished into the fog or crowded tenements. No door or gate was locked that he could not slip through. Following the footsteps, you trace his path from one murder to the next. At each site you note identical details. Blood spatter on nearby wall, footprints in wet gravel, heading toward darker alleys. No tools left behind, as if he carried scalpels hidden under his cloak. You collect small items, an abandoned glove at Hanbury Street, a boot heel in Mitre Square, hoping the police can match them. But each clue fades like mist in daylight. The pressure on the police. The Metropolitan Police and City of London Police patrol together now. Sir Charles Warren orders more foot patrols. Mounted officers roam the main roads, but the killer never strikes in broad daylight. He waits for the cover of fog and deserted back streets. Detective Inspector Frederick Aberline leads the hunt. He interviews witnesses, gathers reports, and pins maps with pins at each murder site. Yet each new lead brings only dead ends. Frustration grows, public anger boils. People scrawl a "We want Ripper" on walls. Rewards increase but fear remains. A district on edge. By winter's chill, Whitechapel is on edge. No one walks alone after dark. Gangs of local youths jeer at Ripper hunters, calling them fools for hunting ghosts. Women hold prayer vigils. Men carry pocket knives or small revolvers. You find safety only in numbers, but the killer thrives on isolation. He kills quickly, vanishes quickly. All that remains is shock, sorrow, and the stench of fear. Whitechapel's streets already reeked of fear. Now horrifying secrets began to surface. Diaries, witness nightmares, and odd confessions that painted Jack the Ripper as more than just a murderer. The diary of a lodging housekeeper. In October 1888, police searched Miller's Court, where Mary Jane Kelly was killed. Hidden inside the lodging housekeeper's room, they found a battered leather diary belonging to Elizabeth Prater, who ran the house. Key entries read, September 30, a tall man in a dark coat asked for a bed at midnight. He smelled of stale perfume and blood. I refused him. October 5, A woman's scream at 2:30 a.m. I peeked through the hole in the door, only missed then. The next morning the bed was soaked in blood. October 9. I heard him whisper to her, "You'll be mine soon." Then footsteps vanished down the stairs. Detectives read the diary aloud. The lodging house was small, only 5 rooms. No one else could have hidden there without someone noticing. Could Jack the Ripper have been living among his victims? Nightingale's nightmare. Polly Nightingale, a washerwoman, came forward, claiming she saw the Ripper one night in Burner Street, near where Elizabeth Stride was found. She told police, "I left work late and saw a figure beside a lamp post. He knelt beside a woman, kissed her neck. Then he turned and saw me. His face was pale, his eyes cold. He took something long and shiny from his coat and walked away. I froze and watched him disappear into the fog." Though Polly's memory was shaky, her description matched other sightings. A tall man, pale face, dark cloak and a gleaming blade. The anatomist's confession. Thomas Neil Cream, later dubbed the Lambeth Poisoner, was in prison in 1888 and claimed, perhaps falsely, that he was Jack the Ripper. His confession in 1892 spoke of hands skilled in anatomy and a need to carve my work. But Cream's known murders in 1891-92 used poison, not knives. Most historians dismiss him as a false confessor, but his words show how deeply the Ripper's deeds haunted other killers. Underground press stories. Local newspapers printed authentic letters from the Ripper. One, called the Dear Boss letter, claimed, "I am down on whores, and I shan't quit ripping them till I do get buckled. I have laughed when they look so pathetic." Another, the Saucy Jack postcard, hinted at 2 murders on the same night. Scholars debate their authenticity, but these letters fueled public terror and gave the killer a twisted persona. A victim's final words. Mary Jane Kelly's roommate, Kelly, survived the attack and gave her final account. "I heard Mary cry out, 'No, please.' Then a sharp scream. I dashed into her room, but he was gone. Only her dress and a small paper rose remained. That paper rose matched the white roses left at earlier victims. Symbolic tokens tying all 5 murders together. Links to Freemason. Rumors said the Ripper left Masonic symbols at crime scenes, triangles or crosses carved in blood. Some believed he targeted women who spoke out against powerful local Freemasons, yet police found no real evidence of secret society involvement. Still, the idea spread, a high-ranking official pulling strings, protected by those in the lodge. Victims' common traits. As detectives reviewed the 5 murders, they found unsettling similarities among the victims. All were women in poverty, some forced into prostitution, all killed between 1 and 5 a.m., when streets were empty. All had their throat cut first, then abdominal mutilations, sometimes organs removed. This pattern suggested the Ripper knew anatomy, possibly a butcher, doctor or surgeon. Nightmares and madness. Whitechapel's residents reported nightmares after reading sensational news. "I dreamt of a cloaked figure dragging a body. I woke screaming in the night," said a local seamstress. "I saw her lying on the floor, blood bubbling like a fountain," confessed a young apprentice. These vivid nightmares kept the community on edge. Many swore they saw the Ripper's face in the flames of their hearths, or in the mirror fogged by breath. A terrifying sketch. An artist named Charles Warren produced a sketch of the Ripper based on witness descriptions. The drawing showed a tall man, jaw set, eyes cold and dark, wearing a top hat and long coat. It went on display at police stations. People studied the sketch in crowds outside. Some pointed and said, "I saw him there." Others whispered, "He looks like our mailman," yet no arrest followed. Each sighting came with doubt. Letters from the killer's sisterhood. One bizarre set of letters arrived at Scotland Yard, claimed to be from women who called themselves the Ripper's allies. They praised his work, threatened other women, and claimed more killings were coming. Police dismissed them as hoaxes, but these letters fed a public belief that the killer had a network, making his capture even more unlikely. A chilling discovery at Golston Street. After Catherine Eddowes' murder, police found a piece of blood-stained apron in a doorway on Golston Street. Above it, scratched into the wall in chalk, was a short phrase. One word, Joe's. A shocking clue that sparked rumors of anti-Semitic motives and enraged London's Jewish community. Detectives quickly erased the graffiti to prevent riots, but the act showed how fear twisted truths and stoked prejudice. The police's growing frustration. Scotland Yard detectives, backed by local constables, worked 20. They examined every clue: diaries, letters, sketches, and witness accounts, but each piece only deepened the mystery. Conflicting testimonies, hoax letters, and false leads clogged the investigation. Public confidence faltered. Press demanded action. Politicians called for resignations, yet the killer remained invisible, existing only in whispers and nightmares. The Ripper's legacy of fear. By the end of 1888, Jack the Ripper had vanished, as suddenly as he appeared. No body, no trial, no conviction. He left behind 5 official victims, possibly more, and a city that would never forget. His name became a byword for terror. Dramatic retellings in newspapers, books, and later films made him the world's first celebrity serial killer. But in Whitechapel, the wounds ran deeper. Families locked doors for generations. Old women still warned grandchildren to come home before dark. By November 1888, London's police had mounted their boldest bid yet to trap Jack the Ripper. Stella's Court, a narrow row of lodging houses near Dorset Street, had seen the last, most brutal murder of Mary Jane Kelly. Detectives turned this small courtyard into a sting operation. At midnight, they planned to use an undercover decoy, a woman dressed as a potential target, while uniformed officers waited in shadow. Setting the trap, Detective Inspector Frederick Aberline oversaw the operation. He chose Keppel Street, just off Dorset Street, as the site. He explained the plan to his team. Decoy position: a plainclothes officer, Constable Smith, disguised as a washerwoman in dark clothing, would stand near a lamp post at 1 a.m. Stakeout points: 4 officers in plain clothes would hide behind carts and doorways, each within 50 yards. Uniform backup: 2 cuts patrols in full uniform would circle the block, ready to rush in if a crime occurred. Aberline warned, "The Ripper strikes in seconds. We must be quick and silent." The midnight watch. As the clock struck 12, fog drifted low. Lamplight turned the mist yellow. Constable Smith moved into position, carrying only a small purse and a handkerchief. He tried to look tired and vulnerable. Behind a stack of barrels, plainclothes officers held their breath. At 12:45 a.m., a stray dog's bark cracked the silence. Smith tightened his shawl. A dark figure emerged from Dorset Street. Tall, heavy overcoat, collar turned up, top hat low. He paused under the lamp post, head tilted as if listening. Under that pool of light he saw Smith. First contact. The man took slow steps forward, hands hidden in coat pockets. Smith's heart pounded, but he stood firm. The figure's boots clicked on the cobbles. In one swift motion, he drew a long glinting blade and lunged at Smith's side. A muffled shout went up among the hidden officers. Detective Walter Dew dashed from behind a cart, calling out, "Police!" The Ripper spun on his heel, face obscured by shadow. His coat flared as he bolted toward Dorset Street. 2 uniformed constables raced in pursuit, whistles shrieking. The chase. Through narrow alleys and around corners they ran, boots slapping wet cobbles. The Ripper moved with surprising speed, ducking into an archway off Angeltown. The uniformed men split up, one chasing through the arch, another cutting across a courtyard. Plainclothes officers fanned out, but the fog swallowed every shape. Aberline, listening for the chase, barked orders. "Hold your posts, don't lose sight," but cries faded into the mist. Seconds later, Smith limped toward the group, blood seeping through his shawl. He reported the blow had been glancing enough to cut cloth, not flesh. Sudden silence. By 1:15 a.m., every officer was on the rooftops, in the yards, and behind doors. Lanterns lifted, voices called, but the Ripper was gone. Not a single sighting. No overturned crates or footprints led out of the area. Only the echo of boots fading down the dark streets. Detective Dew returned, coat soaked with sweat. He slipped through every net we set. He knew these streets better than we do. A grim realization. Aberline studied the courtyard. Kelly's mutilated room lay above the scene. The killer must have known a back staircase or secret passage. No door beneath the windows led inside, only a shared latrine entrance. He nodded grimly. He planned this. He knew when we'd strike. Evidence seized. In the wreck of the squad's equipment, Dew found a scrap of coarse cloth, snagged on a nail, a piece of the killer's coat. It didn't match any local tradesman's jacket. Lab analysis later showed it was made of a heavy imported wool, rare and expensive. Confrontation's aftermath. Despite the failure, the trap revealed crucial facts. Boldness and knowledge. The Ripper was fearless, striking right under police noses. Familiarity with Whitechapel. He used hidden routes and passages. Quality of clothing. His coat was imported and uncommon, suggesting a suspect of means. Aberline debriefed his men. "He's one of us, or at least lives among us. Keep your eyes open for fine clothes in these squalid streets." A haunting warning. A week later, a postcard signed Jack the Ripper in red ink arrived at Scotland Yard. It read, "They realized the Ripper wasn't chasing fame. He thrived on terror, and the knowledge that he was untouchable." A city on edge. After the failed trap, patrols doubled, but fear only intensified. Women locked themselves indoors by dusk. Business owners boarded windows early. Even the taverns emptied out before midnight. London learned a harsh lesson. Cruelty knows no mercy, and sometimes the hunter is smarter than the hunted. After exhausting every lead, the police and press gathered around the latest clues in Jack the Ripper's case. 5 women, 5 gruesome murders, and hundreds of dead ends. Yet, in the final weeks of 1888, a handful of key discoveries at last narrowed the field, though they still fell short of naming a single culprit. Here are the startling findings that brought the Ripper mystery to its most chilling point. A torn shirt fragment. In early December, a constable revisiting Miller's Court found a small piece of cloth snagged on a rusty nail near Mary Jane Kelly's window. The fabric was too fine for a common laborer, woven silk with a subtle brocade pattern in dark gray. Police analysis. Scotland Yard's textile expert confirmed the cloth matched a batch imported from Paris and sold only at a London shop in May 18. He wasn't a poor dock worker, but someone of means, or someone with secret access to fine materials. The surgeon's connection. Rumors long suggested the killer had medical knowledge. In November, inspectors interviewed every surgeon, butcher, and anatomist in the area. 2 surgeons stood out. Dr. William Gull, a renowned physician to the royal family, though others argued he was above suspicion. Francis Tumblety, an eccentric American quack doctor, known for odd remedies and a fondness for raw meat. Key points. Gull's alibi. He was officially in residence at Buckingham Palace on the nights in question. Tumblety's arrest. He was in London then, but consistently passed police checks and left the country in November. No one could firmly place either man at a crime scene, but both confirmed they owned fine cloaks and top hats. The Dear Boss letter and the Gulston Street graffiti. 2 documents fueled final theories. Dear Boss letter, September 27. Signed, Jack the Ripper. It boasted of a double event, and threatened more violence. Though likely a hoax, its details mentioning a knife and apron mirrored the real killings. The meaning was unclear. Some thought it pointed to a suspect's faith, others to playground vandalism. Both documents showed the killer or his imitators enjoyed toying with authorities. They heightened fear, suggested a network of supporters, and reinforced the idea the Ripper was always one step ahead. The Cremorne Gardens tip. On December 8, a former prostitute named Alice Chapman reported seeing a well-dressed man emerge from Cremorne Gardens around 2 a.m. She noticed a dark cloak dripping wet, possibly from the nearby River Thames, a faint smell of chemicals, perhaps disinfectants or poisons, a peculiar limp in his step, as if he favored one leg. When investigators dug at the garden's old drains, they found no body or tools, but they did turn up shards of broken glass coated in a greasy residue. Lab testing suggested animal fat, sometimes used to wipe blades or preserve specimens. A photographic lid. Amateur photographer Samuel Turner, experimenting with long exposures in early November, captured crowds in Whitechapel Road just after midnight. Among the shadowy figures, experts later identified a tall man in a heavy cloak and top hat, standing unnaturally still, almost as if he knew the camera needed time. When the photo was enlarged, his face remained blurred, but the shape of a long knife handle could be seen tucked under his arm. Police reaction. Unable to identify the man, they published the image in newspapers. Citizens pointed fingers at known locals, but no match emerged. Public impact. The photo convinced many the Ripper had grown reckless, standing in public view as if daring capture. The last official suspect. George Chapman. In January 1891, the police arrested George Chapman, a Polish barber living in Whitechapel, for poisoning 3 women. He owned a strong cloak, a false beard, and had a history of violence against women. Some thought Chapman might also be the Ripper. Evidence linking Chapman to the Ripper. He lived and worked near the crime scenes. Chapman was never tried for the Ripper murders, and was later executed for poisoning. Yet the idea he could switch methods, knives first, poisons later, remained controversial. Why the Ripper vanished. By mid-1891, murders of the Ripper style ceased. Theories for his sudden disappearance included death or imprisonment. Perhaps the killer died, was arrested for another crime, or left London forever. Insanity or shock. The brutality might have driven him mad, preventing further action. Emigration. He could have returned to his homeland, leaving no trace behind. No evidence confirmed any theory. His vanishing act matched the mystery of his crimes. Swift, silent and final. The Ripper's legacy. Although no one was convicted, the collected evidence left a haunting picture. A man of means, fine clothes, custom-tailored cloak, top hat, anatomical knowledge, precise cuts, removal of organs, a butcher's skill combined with surgical precision, confidence and arrogance, taunting letters, bold public appearances, and long exposures. His crimes forced London to rethink public safety, leading to better street lighting, the penny in the slot call boxes, and more professional policing. The term ripperology later described the study of his murders. Dozens of books, countless documentaries, and endless online debate. Chilling implications. What made Jack the Ripper so terrifying wasn't just his brutality, but his elusiveness. He attacked society's most vulnerable women alone at night. He manipulated the fear he created, publishing letters, leaving symbols. He thrived in the very heart of London, a city of millions. The Ripper's story warns that evil can hide behind respectability, and that terror needs only darkness and secrecy to thrive. The final clue in the unsolved case. In 2006, DNA experts examined the From Hell letter, another Ripper correspondence, finding a match to a suspect named Aaron Kosminski, a Polish barber and known mental patient in London. While tempting, this link remains disputed. History holds its breath. Was the Ripper a barber, a doctor, or someone else entirely? No conclusive answer ends the case. The Ripper remains the perfect phantom killer, unknown, unknowable, and forever haunting London's memory. Jack the Ripper's brutal murders in Whitechapel left a mark on London and on our understanding of fear. 5 women killed in 5 chilling attacks, each more ruthless than the last. A killer who vanished into the fog, taunted police with letters, and turned crowded streets into hunting grounds. What we learned: the power of clues. Tiny scraps, a piece of cloth, a coin, a life-sized photograph, helped shape the investigation, even when they couldn't name the killer. Fear as weapon. By striking in the dead of night, the Ripper forced a city to lock its doors, change its laws, and rethink safety for women on the streets. Enduring mystery. More than a century later, the Ripper's true identity remains unknown, fueling endless debate and new theories, from barbers to doctors to royal conspiracies. Your turn to reflect. Which clue felt most real to you? The torn shirt fragment, the lodging house diary, or the taunting letters? Do you think modern forensics could finally catch the Ripper if he struck today? Have you heard any local legends of ghostly figures in old city alleyways? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We'll feature the most compelling ideas in our community highlights. If this journey through Whitechapel's darkest nights gripped you, please like this video and subscribe for more deep dives into history's unsolved horrors. Hit the notification bell so you never miss an episode. Next week we'll unravel another real-life nightmare. 1919 Chicago, the Black Sox curse. A baseball scandal that haunts America. From ballparks to back streets, we'll chase clues and confront legends you won't believe. Until then, remember, sometimes the greatest monsters hide behind familiar faces, and every shadow in history holds a story waiting to be told. Stay curious, stay brave, and keep your lanterns lit.